I just want to welcome the Tims here. They've been to our school before. They're going to talk to you about some things. And again, we're here to support you if you need anything afterwards. And again, we're looking forward to really an exciting night for all of you. And again, I can't express enough my gratitude and appreciation to each and every one of you for the last 4 years. You've been an amazing class. I want you to continue to be an amazing class. And we want you to have fun. Again, I know I keep repeating myself, but we need you to be safe. And we need you to make good decisions. All right? So without further ado, I turn it over to our presenter here.
There you go. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Everybody all right? That's funny, man. That's funny. All right, so it's me. I'm John. My cousin Luke, he's around here somewhere. He went to go fix his hair or something. He should be back any second. Luke, where you been, man?
Dude, all right. I was back there. I heard Denzel Caduro come on. Mamarita, Senora Sora. Oh, I was feeling good. All of a sudden, I'm dancing up on the chair and I just fall, hit my head. John, tell me, what are we doing here? I can't remember a thing.
We're talking to the Ketcham High School seniors. Tonight's their prom night. You know, they're getting ready to make a big transition in their life. We're here to kind of share our story and, you know, give them some insight.
All right, that sounds exciting. Prom night, yeah, I love it. Woo! There we go. But why are we here? Why are we here? They have their prom, but what are we doing here?
We enjoy talking to these kids. You know, we have a lot to share. We've learned a lot through our lives, and we have a lot of valuable insight to give them.
Yeah, but how are we doing this? Like, how are we presenting to them right now?
Well, first, you know, we're going to break down our personal stories. Then we're going to break down the WWHW formula, you know, our goal for implementing any positive change in your life. Yeah. Give them some examples, give them the opportunity to do it for themselves, and then we're going to walk through references and how important they are in, you know, building out a goal.
Right, that sounds pretty good. When are we supposed to do this?
Right now, man. You're up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man, you're up.
Does my hair look good at least?
You're looking good, dude.
All right. So there I was. I was at a pregame in college my sophomore year. I'm getting ready to go out. What do? I take out a bag of cocaine. I put out a line on the table. I do that. I walk out. I'm walking down the stairs. All of a sudden I decide, you know what? Let me crack open a beer. I'm walking down the stairs. I'm walking out. I go around the corner of the street and I see 3 cops in front of me. All of a sudden, I start thinking in my head, all right, what should I do? I've already been in trouble with the cops before that. Do I want to get in trouble again? And so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I go, boom! And I book it. So I go back to my dorm room. I decide, you know what? Why don't I just change my shirt, put on a different hat? I mean, I'm not very recognizable, right? I mean, look at me. So I go back out, and I go out to the street where we all go party. And I'm waiting to get into this one club. And all of a sudden, I feel this tug on the back of my pants. And I just start trying to book it. And there's just a cop holding onto my belt. I'm swinging him around like this. And all of a sudden, a moment comes in my head where I decide, do I hit his arm down and proceed to run? Or do I just put my hands up and say, you know what, that's it? So what do? I put my hands up. Something came over me. And all of a sudden, the cop proceeded to take me down. But there I was, laying on the ground, facing the rocks, in front of hundreds of my peers.
It was the morning of September 18th, 2021. At this point in my life, I was experiencing a few months of anxiety and depression, and it was this morning in particular that I started to really feel I was losing control of the situation. I went to the gym with my dad this morning to try to clear my head, try to, you know, do something positive, make me feel good. But instead of, you know, feeling good and feeling motivated, I found myself in an all-out war inside my mind. All right, it was as if there was one side of my mind that was telling me to keep fighting, playing tug of war with the bad side of my mind that was telling me to give up. We leave the gym, my dad makes me a big breakfast and try to get me to eat. But at this point in my life, I wasn't able to stomach any food. I was losing weight rapidly, I wasn't sleeping. And in this morning in particular, I started experiencing suicidal ideation. But fortunately for me, I told my dad about it, and we hopped in the car and I drove 45 minutes south to an emergency room in Westchester in which I'd been myself into an inpatient care facility. I spent 11 nights in this facility, and during my time there, I had a lot of time to reflect and look back on my life and see what really happened. But there I was. I'm gonna go more into my story in depth about my background, but all the things I had done in my life led me to that moment where I was sitting in an inpatient care facility in a hospital, completely secluded from the outside world, really confused and scared as to what just happened to me.
So how do we get there? So I grew up in this area, John and I both did. I went to Our Lady of Lourdes High School. I know. I'm sorry guys, I wasn't a Ketcham alum, but I was like one of you guys. I remember being a freshman, sophomore, getting into high school. I'm like, you know what, let me try to fit in with the cool group. What do I have to do to be funny? Trying to just get everybody's attention. And that was that type of guy. I was trying to be the class clown, and I thought that was cool. But I was playing sports, and I started to see success in my athletics. So my junior year, I had this breakout season. I got all section, all state for football, all section for basketball. And in the meantime, I'm partying hard. I'm drinking heavy on the weekends. I'm smoking every single day. And so, people are telling me, hey, you should probably take it easy. But at this point, I'm having external success. And I'm like, all right, who are you to tell me? I'm doing all these great things. And so I go into my senior year. And most people probably would have thought, okay, this guy, he wasn't training. He wasn't working hard. He was partying. He was doing all these wrong things. Can't possibly go in an upward trajectory. And so I ended up having arguably one of the best seasons in New York State history. I broke all these state records. I get an offer to play Division I football at Princeton University. And so I end up getting into Princeton. I go there. I bring all my bad habits with me, thinking that stuff was gonna fly. But guess what? That's when everything kind of started to go in the wrong trajectory. I was off the football team. I was joining a frat. I got heavy into partying. That's when my drug use started. And I ended up getting arrested my sophomore year.
All right, so how did I end up in an inpatient care facility? Growing up, I went to Spackdale High School, not too far from here. In high school, I was regarded by my teachers and classmates as, a very talented student, very talented athlete, very active member of the community. Somebody that my peers looked at and said, you know what, this kid, John, he's gonna go on, he's gonna be fine. Like whatever he does in life, he's gonna be successful. And that reputation stuck with me as I went to college. I went to SUNY Binghamton. At SUNY Binghamton, I kind of found the same success. I was vice president of my fraternity. I had close to a 4.0 GPA. I was involved in the Binghamton University Investment Fund, and I had a job lined up as a financial analyst upon graduation. Everything was, picture perfect, exactly how it should have been. But it wasn't until the last night of college where everything changed for me. I went out to dinner with about 15 of my buddies. We were celebrating a great 4 years together, and the next day we were all going our separate ways. But instead of enjoying that moment and being happy and being excited, I was overwhelmed with these intense physical sensations, a rapid heartbeat, profusely sweating, struggling to catch my breath. And this turned out to be my first of many panic attacks. This panic attack turned into me experiencing ongoing anxiety and depression to the point where I was only sleeping 2 hours a night and I couldn't eat any food anymore. And that led me to the point that I described to you earlier, where instead of being happy and feeling successful in my new role after college, I was sad, depressed, feeling terrible about myself in an inpatient care facility.
So John and I both came to the realization that we needed to create change in our lives. But what did I need to change? Well, I needed to change all my habits. The trajectory I was on was not going in the right direction, and I knew, okay, Luke's plan wasn't working. But why? Why did I want to change? Well, I wanted to change because I wanted what was best for my future. I was putting all the partying, doing the next fun thing first, but it got to a point where I realized, okay, I'm jeopardizing everything. And so I do need to make a change. But how did I change? The first step for me was reaching out to help. It always was Luke's plan. What does Luke think is right? And it finally got to the point where, okay, I think Luke's plan is not working. Luke's getting in all this trouble. I'm not where I want to be. And so I got help. I reached out to somebody who was close to me, and I got into a program called AA, where I've been sober for over 5 years. And when did I decide to do this? I decided to do this as soon as I realized, okay, I need to do something about it.
So what was the change I needed to make? Well, when I was in the hospital, I came to a lot of realizations, and I realized that for the biggest part of my life, I was living a life that other people kind of threw on me, that other people perceived that I'd be good at. So my goal going forward was to live the life that I wanted to live a life free of anxiety and depression is something I genuinely was passionate about. And why? Because look, we're living a life of, up to other people's reputation and perceptions of me got me. It didn't make me feel happy or successful. It got me feeling depressed. I wanted to be genuinely happy and passionate about what I was doing on a day in and day out basis. So how did I go about implementing this change? Well, for me, at that direct moment, my life was in danger. I was very sick. So I needed to get help. I needed to admit myself into an inpatient care facility. And upon leaving it, I had to engage actively into therapy, where I was doing 2 therapy sessions a week. I was actively engaged in group therapy. I started taking antidepressants. I quit my job in the finance world, and I told myself I was going to start from scratch and build a life that I wanted to live. And when? Well, for me, my change came at kind of like I had to make a change. My life was in danger. I put myself in a little bit of a corner, and it was in that moment that when I was in the hospital where I decided, you know what, like from here on out, my life's going to be different.
So how John and I have grown. So I got sober April 21st, 2018. But at that point, I was kicked out of school for a year. And so I'm trying to think, okay, how can I start bettering myself? And so the first thing I did was I started to implement positive habit of lifting. And you would have thought, okay, you're a football player, you probably lifted before. Like, no, I hated lifting. Hated it. I wanted nothing to do with it. But that was my first step because I was doing all these negative things. I'm like, I need to start implementing something positive. So I started with weightlifting. I started to see some positive change in the mirror. Like, okay, all right, I'm looking better. I'm feeling a little better. At that point, I got back into Princeton and I had to start to study. And you think, okay, this guy went to Princeton, like he must have been a good studier. No, I didn't study in school for a second in high school. So when I got back to school, I was like, okay, I actually want to pass and get out of here. And so I started to study. And it wasn't easy at first because I remember looking at, reading a couple pages. I'm like, I feel like I didn't read one word. And I kept doing that over and over and over again. But it finally started to click. I finally started to get that habit back. And so I got my grades up, and then I eventually got back onto the football team. And from there, it wasn't that picture perfect ending I hoped it would have been. COVID hit my senior year. That kind of messed things up a little bit. But, I ended up graduating from there. I got a job in New York City. I work in finance. I bought a place down there, and our trajectories have definitely been going in the right direction.
All right, so here we are, right? We're talking to all of you. I think today is probably something around like my 25th public speaking event, I would say, somewhere around there. And it's been, I think 2 days ago was my first panic attack 2 years ago, okay? But here we are now. I dove deep into a deep valley, and it was a slow climb out of that deep part of my life. After I left my job in finance, I was working at an auto body shop. I did construction. I worked these odds and ends jobs for about like 8 months, really having no clear picture of, what I was doing, but I was just experimenting, see what I liked, trying to feel some passion and excitement in my everyday life. The opportunity presented itself to move down to this city with Luke. I jumped on it. We live in Manhattan together now. I bartend, I manage a bar, and in my free time, I like talking at schools, and this is a platform we're looking to grow bigger into the future, right? So, it's been a long journey, but we're very happy with where we've ended up. So as you can hear, Luke and I have been talking in kind of like a formulaic manner when Luke came out and how we broke down our change that we implemented in our lives. This formula, I like to talk about the WWHW formula. The first W being your what, second W being your why, the H being your how, and the last W being your when. So
the first step is what. And what equals awareness. If you aren't aware that you should make some change, you're not going to be able to make change in your life. And now a lot of you might be sitting there thinking, hey, Luke, I don't have a drug problem. Hey, Luke, I'm not anxious or depressed. Like, this doesn't apply to me. But we see the key to success in our lives and many people's lives around us is growth. And so the first step is like, okay, maybe I don't have this very pressing issue, but what is something that I can work on that's going to put me in a better position to succeed, put myself in a better position for my future? Or what's something that's holding me back a little bit that I can remove? And so this is the step where you just start to become aware of what you can start to positively implement.
And next, your why. Right? Your why is your significance of this change that you're looking to make. Why is it important to you? You're identifying your why and having a deep, meaningful why is important because it's going to keep you motivated on a day in and day out basis. When you're trying to accomplish your micro goals to get to achieving your long-term goal, when you don't feel like doing the work or putting in the effort that it requires, identifying your why and reminding yourself of it is going to get you back on the right path.
But how, Luke? I have this big goal, but I don't know how to get there. And so what John and I always say is to start small. You want some actionable step that you can take today, right now. And so basically you're going to take that big goal and you're going to start working backwards, all of a sudden to a step that you can take today, because you might have a goal that could take you years to achieve, but it's all about taking little positive actions every single day. And so with how, you get down to an actionable step that, okay, I can go do this right now. I can research the thing I want to start doing. I can take the action towards the thing I want to start doing. And so how? Today.
And next, your when, right? The first aspect of when is Luke and I we break down those micro goals, your hows, and we like to identify a step in which you can take right now in this moment. How can you get just that much closer to accomplishing your goal? Well, the other aspects of when are identifying, a realistic timeline for yourself to accomplish your goal and to identify and clearly picture, when your goal is complete. So you guys are probably sitting there, it's 9:30 in the morning. You're excited about prom tonight. You're like, please guys, please shut up. This means nothing to me. I'm not going through all this crazy stuff. But we've built out some real life examples for you guys that can, from our experience being 24, we're not that far away from you guys in age, that when we sit back in your guys' shoes, and when we do these events, we like to talk to the previous versions of ourselves. And this is, as we walk through these next few examples, this is our effort to kind of put ourselves back in your guys' shoes and give you guys some insight on how to handle some of these situations. So for first, right, some of you, you guys are excited about prom, excited about making a big transition in your life. And some of you, you maybe had hopes and dreams at the beginning of this school year about, the school you're going to go to or the job you're going to have to after you finish high school. And maybe it didn't turn out exactly how you planned, right? So what's the goal with not attending your dream school or not having your ideal situation right after high school, right? Your goal is to find a way to become excited about this new situation, is to find a way to become passionate about it, find all the positives in it. And why? Because it doesn't serve you any use in being negative or disappointed about the outcome that you're having right now in your life. If you go into your next college or your next job, whatever it may be, with a negative outlook on it, this wasn't the college I really wanted to go to, this wasn't exactly how I pictured it in my mind, right? Then it's going to be a negative experience. You have to train yourself, you have to paint a positive picture for yourself in order for it to be a positive experience for you. And how? If you're going to college, start identifying clubs that you might be interested in attending, like the interest meetings when you first get there. Get excited about your roommates. Get excited about maybe the social life there. Get excited about the academic programs that you might be interested in pursuing. Start doing research. Start putting yourself in situations that might expose you to aspects of your life maybe you've never pursued before, or something that pique your interest and might excite you. And when? You guys should actually definitely start doing this stuff ASAP, because you're graduating high school soon, and college is going to be here before you know it.
So the next one, learn from your experiences. You're going to make mistakes. And now before I talk about that, tonight is going to be a night where, we're going to be on our best behavior, right? We're going to be good to the staff, and we're gonna make this a memorable night. I wasn't able to go to my senior prom because of stuff that I got in trouble with in high school. But this is a night that you're gonna have that is gonna be very memorable. And so definitely just be smart with your decisions. But throughout the rest of your life, you're going to make mistakes. Adversity is going to hit, things are going to happen. So what? Your goal is to learn from your experiences. But why? Why should I learn from my experiences? Well, because if you don't learn from your experiences, you're gonna do the same thing over and over and over again. And it's gonna cause pain in your life. And I'm living proof of that. John's living proof. We had those bad habits and they persisted and it caused us pain. But how do I learn from my experiences? Reflect. Now, things happen. You're gonna mess up. But afterwards, take a step back and say, okay, what could I have done better to make that situation not go awry? To make it a situation that could have been a positive one instead of a negative one. And now, it might be easy to put the blame on somebody else, but we always take part. It might be 99% their fault, but 1% there could have been something better that could have been done on our end. And when should you do this? I encourage you to start doing this today because we all make mistakes. They happen all the time. Just start taking a little bit of responsibility and saying, okay, what could I have done a little bit better?
Leaving home. Now, a lot of you might be out there and be like, nope, doesn't apply to me. I am out. My parents are annoying me. I'm done. I'm going to college or wherever, and that's it. I can't wait. And I was the same way. Okay, don't get me wrong. But don't take your situation now, whatever it may be, for granted. Because, you've been conditioned a certain way for so many years of your life. You found comfort in it, and changing up your environment like this, it could be a big change for some of you. So what's the goal? The goal is to feel safe and secure in your new environment, whether it's in a college dorm room or you're moving to a new apartment, wherever it may be. And why? Because you want to feel safe, you want to feel comfortable in order to put yourself in the best position to succeed in whatever you're pursuing. Right? If you don't feel safe and secure in what you're doing and where you're living, right, the other aspects of your life, they're not gonna give you as much fulfillment as they could because you're gonna be worried about not being comfortable. You're gonna be worried about not feeling safe. So how do you do that? How do you bring a sense of security and safety to your new environments? Maybe bring some posters and stuff from your bedroom at home and put them in your new environment. A big thing that helped with me was really scheduling or getting on the same page as my parents. Like, if I want to come home for a couple of days, maybe if there's a long weekend or whatnot, like, is that option available to me? How can I do it? What would that look like? Am I welcome? Having that little safety net, it could be proved to be very beneficial to you. If you're in this new environment, you're feeling a little shaky, you need to go back to your roots real quick to just rebalance. It can be a very beneficial experience, and I think it's something you should all definitely have on your radar. And when? Well, you guys are probably moving or pursuing your new job. It might be a new job you might be starting in just a month, or it might be a college you're going to in a couple months from now. But these are plans you should definitely start laying out now, having the conversation with your guardians or parents, whoever it may be, and thinking of ways that you can make your new environment feel more safe and secure to you.
So another what? Handling newfound responsibility. Now, a lot of you lived underneath your parents' roofs your entire life, your guardian, but you're going to be free soon. You get to make your own decisions, you get to be your own person, and that is super exciting. Like, whether you're going to college or starting a job, you're going to have new responsibility, and it's going to be the best time of your life. Don't get me wrong. But why should I care about this? Why should I care about handling newfound responsibility? Because the next coming years are going to dictate a lot of your future. And so the decisions you're making now and in the coming months and coming years are going to affect your trajectory. So be conscientious. Yes, okay, I have all this freedom. I can do whatever I want. But how can I set myself up for success? And so handling this newfound responsibility, what can you do to make that easier? Well, if you're going off to college, you can use the resources at your disposal. Now, I know you might want to just go out and party. I'm not saying don't do that, but find your resources. Utilize your RA. Utilize the guidance counselors, the teachers, the people that care. There's going to be people all around that are there for you. So utilize those people. And when should you do this? I encourage you to do this the first week you get to school. I was somebody, I blew off all the orientations. I didn't do any of that stuff. I thought I was too cool for it. But honestly, going back, it's something I wish I could have done because I would have just been more comfortable in different situations that presented themselves.
Just a couple more minutes of your time, I promise. I know you guys are excited, prom, I know. So before, as we've kind of been talking to you, right, we showed you our stories, gave you a transparent view of who we are as people, our experiences, what we went through, where we've been, where we're going. We broke down this formula, right? We showed you real life examples and how it could apply to, where you are at your stage in life. And so some of you still may be thinking, I don't really see any of these things as being potential problems in my life. And right now, you might not see it. But I guarantee you, in a couple of months from now, you're gonna think back to these examples, you're gonna think back to what we were saying, our stories, and it's gonna resonate with a lot of you. I can almost guarantee it, okay? And this is where our importance of references come in. A reference is an external source of information, right? The human mind is not very capable of original thought. Very few people are able to do that. But our actions, how we go through life, it's heavily influenced by the people we listen to, the information we read, the books we read, the media we watch. So for references, Luke and I, we share our stories, we give this roadmap to serve as a reference for all of you. So as you're navigating this next aspect of your lives, you have a little bit of a better perception of, what you might face, how to maneuver around it when it does impact you, and where you can go from there. So we like to be references for all of you, but these are some of the references in our life, right? A big one for me, Lewis Howes, he runs this awesome podcast called School Greatness. On there, it helped me a lot when I was going through my anxiety and depression battles, because he had tons of guests on his podcast that were going through similar things that I was, but were doing all these different things throughout their lives now. So it opened my eyes to what was really possible to what I was currently experiencing, right? And without it, I wouldn't have had as much ambition or a much clearer picture, or much hope or excitement about what I could accomplish in the future for myself. Because in that moment, I felt like my world was over.
Now, somebody that I look up to on that list is Kendra Scott. Now, Kendra Scott, she's an entrepreneur, but she started in her early 20s. She founded a hat company, and it wasn't going in the direction she wanted to. It was a failing business, so after a few years, she shut it down. But she didn't give up. She was like, you know what? I know I'm made for this. I know I'm made for this entrepreneurship stuff. Let me try something else. So she started her own custom jewelry brand called Kendra Scott, and now it's over $1 billion business. And so she's somebody I look up to as, okay, you're gonna experience adversity. Things are not always gonna go your way, but it's all right. Do I just bow out, or do I decide to keep going? And she's somebody that I see that I look up to.
Okay, so when we introduced ourselves, Luke and I, we run our partnership, the company, our mission is called Touch Streets. Right? And essentially, we don't identify as a typical company. We're not a nonprofit. Our mission is to simply help people make positive change in their lives. Right? And why do we do this? Because we see our stories, we see our experiences as extremely valuable, and we gained a lot of, healing and excitement and passion for, sharing our stories, helping others navigate their own lives, and watching people grow. And how do we plan on carrying out our mission? Doing talks at schools like this. Luke and I dress up as Spider-Man and we interact with people on the streets of New York City. One day we hope to open up our own elevation centers. Right? We're doing all these out-of-the-box things to put ourselves out there, put our stories out there, be that reference for other people, and help them make these positive changes in their lives. And how can you find us? Right? Luke and I are very active on social media. You guys can follow us. That form that we talked about before, if you go to our website, touchstreets.com, it's on there as well. You don't need the QR code. But if you guys want to follow us along, or we think our story could resonate with somebody else in your life, feel free to share it, save it for later. But I promise you all, all, at some point in your near future, you're going to hear what we said today, and it's going to impact your mindset just a little bit in a positive way.
Yeah, and like John said before, if you have any questions about anything, like, all right, I don't really know what direction I want my future to go in, I'm experiencing some adversity, please reach out to us. Like, you have our social media stuff right there. I'm Luke Tim, he's John Tim. We would love to answer your questions, because like he said before, we're talking to our past selves. We were sitting in your shoes 7 years ago, which is not that long ago, experiencing the same things that you guys are experiencing, caring about the same things you care about. And so we're the future you. And so we know we come with a lot more experiences, and we can help you in whichever way, you see fit. So guys, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you all. Have a great night tonight. Make some good decisions.